Greetings, Bat family, and welcome to Holy BatCast, brought to you by real fans for real movies. You can find us all over social media on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you'll find us. And if you're a big fan of the show and you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. You don't have to do it. Very low pressure sales here. But if you want to do it, it's an option. And as always, a big thank you to any of you who have done that. It really does mean a lot to us. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so you can check out those shows at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm your Bat host, Andy DiGenova. You can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. This episode, we got some fun stuff. I teased it a little bit not that long ago where I said I was feeling the itch to do another toy episode. So we're going to mostly be talking about toys again tonight. We're going to be talking about the Legends of the Dark Knight toy line from the 90s. I'm excited about that. But you know what? It's been a while. We're also going to do a new episode of The Batman because someday we got to finish that series. And joining me for the fun, it's someone you have heard on the show plenty of times in the past, but it's been a minute. So it's exciting to have him back. He is one of our great Batman toy connoisseurs. I think I can say that. It's a special skill he has. He's out there spreading the love of Batman toys on Batman News, and that is our pal Jay Yaws. Hey, Jay.
Spreading the love on Batman News and across my office wall, because I have plenty of Batman toys hung up there.
Oh my God, me too. To the point where I need to I want to redo my office so I can get another large shelving unit in here because too many of them are not accessible and I want to see them.
Yes, I have almost run out of space for hanging up Hot Wheel Batmobiles in box because that's a thing I do. And I definitely need to either make a new row under those or knock out a wall and make a bigger office. We'll see which one's cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the kids can move into my bedroom and I can take over their bedrooms.
There you go.
Because priorities. We're you know what? They sleep in my bed most of the time anyway.
Yeah, it happens.
What a waste of a bedroom over here. They could be full of toys.
Second office.
Exactly. Anyway, so yes, we're going to talk about toys. I can't wait. Thanks for coming back, Jay. Always a pleasure.
Of course. Always glad to be on here. Always glad to get the call.
So, before we talk about toys, though, our last episode, we talked about Superman, the upcoming film coming our way before we know it on July 11th. We got that little sneak peek behind the scenes footage. And I didn't know I was going to do an episode on that. And so we didn't know if we were going to cover it here or not. Turns out we did the episode. So I'm sorry, Jay.
It's okay.
But I did want to block out the next 3 hours of the episode for you to talk about Metamorpho. So the clock is ticking and please be my guest.
Andy will attest to this. Within probably about 3 seconds of that behind the scenes footage coming out, I had screenshot Metamorpho and sent it to him via Facebook Messenger. And what a day it was.
So I'm excited. You're excited.
Yes.
Like I said on the last episode, I like Metamorpho, but I would not consider myself a super fan. But I still got that little geeky thrill seeing how good he looked.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like I'm a Metamorpho expert or anything. It's the fact that we're getting Metamorpho in a big screen, big budget movie, and he looks perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That is what excites me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. So that was a nice surprise. That was probably the biggest reveal of that behind the scenes spot.
Yes, I actually... I saw Hot Girl and I was like, oh, okay, it looks cool, but we've seen her. And then saw Metamorpho kind of flexing. And I was almost taken aback because I was like, did I see that correctly? And I had to rewind and, watch it again. Cause oh, nope. That is Metamorpho. And it is completely practical from what we can tell.
Yeah. And like we said, there's another shot where you actually see the Metamorpho suit on a hanger in the background.
Yeah. After the episode, I went back and watched it again because, That's what we do. And yep, I saw that hanging in the back there.
That's awesome. Well. So okay, you're excited about Metamorpho, love it, great, high five. But just Superman in general. Again, it's been a while since we've chatted. How you feeling with what we've seen so far, and then especially with this most recent behind the scenes look?
I'm I mean, generally loving everything we've seen so far. I was one that, on the suit reveal, I was like, okay, that might not be how I would have done it, but I don't hate it. And since then, I think we might share the same sentiment. Can't remember where you guys have landed talking about it, but I like it the more I see it, and especially when I see it in action. Like
Yeah.
the colors pop. The cape is perfect. I love the
Mhm.
cape with the yellow shield on the back. The colors pop. Corin Sweat looks fantastic. Um, I like it the more I see it. And then pretty much everything else about the movie has gotten me, at the very least, excited.
Mhm.
I'm still, holding a little bit of trepidation. Like, okay, is this going to be overstuffed? Is it going to be a retread of things we've seen before? I'm not going into it expecting it to be the best movie ever made, or even necessarily the best Superman movie ever made. I just want it to be a good movie, which is, I think, a healthy perspective to have with any movie you go and see.
I think that's totally fair. Personally, I want it to be a great Superman movie. Again, I'm not saying the best Superman movie because those are big boots to fill, but I want it to be a great Superman movie that's a huge hit that we can all be excited about, enjoy all summer long.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I didn't want to downplay it, the Supermanness of it, but I mean, it's more just like, what, I want it to be a good time for me, for my family who are also excited about it, and yeah, I mean, I want it to be a hit because it's been too long since we've had a Superman movie that's been a, what do they say, four quadrant blockbuster hit,
Yeah.
and just a, well received by critics and fans alike, with legs to, make some good box office, and I mean, in this case, kick off an entire universe.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that it succeeds on all fronts.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, when was the last time we had a DC movie that was a big hit and almost everyone liked it and we could all just sit back and enjoy the excitement? I would say Aquaman, maybe.
Aquaman, maybe. Wonder Woman for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Aquaman had like some detractors, but it wasn't. I thought it was relatively minor, because for the most part, at least people had fun with it and enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, those were the ones where like, oh, it's just nice to like be able to take a breath and not have warring factions about it,
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
and who knows what'll happen with Superman. But yeah, I want it to be well received, and more importantly, I want to love it, so I have another great Superman or DC or superhero movie that I can enjoy. Um,
Me too.
so we've gotten the trailer, we got the sneak peek, now we got the behind the scenes, but as we discussed on the last episode, they've been very careful about not overplaying their hand yet, and so we know a new trailer will come. And someone asked us in the Wayne Manor mailbox of like, well, what do you want in the next trailer? Eric, Joe, and I all shared our thoughts, but you said you had some thoughts.
I do. The main thing I would want to see, and it's not because I'm doubting it at all, because Rachel Brosnahan is a fantastic actress. Corin Sweat, I'm not, as familiar with him, but he seems very passionate about the role. He seems like he does understand how to embody Superman. But James Gunn has talked up their chemistry reading so
Mm,
much, and I don't think we've actually heard Lois even speak in any of these, trailers. I mean, obviously Rachel Brosnahan was speaking behind the scenes, but we
mm,
haven't actually seen Lois in the context of the movie talking.
mm,
So I would love to see, even if it's just a line of dialogue, like, hey, Smallville, something like that, and then him being jittery and dorky at the Daily Planet, or the two of them interacting as Lois and Superman. I want to see, what what stood out to Gunn about the two of them that made them not just the perfect Lois and the perfect Clark, but the perfect Lois and Clark for this
Yeah.
movie. I really want, because I mean, obviously seen that they have some sort of, physical chemistry because they're making out all over the place in the trailer. But I actually want to see them interact and speak and just see what that, crackling chemistry is like in their dialogue.
That's a great point. I didn't really think of it, but now that you bring it up, that's true. And just recently, James Gunn did post on social media about how important that chemistry was in finding the right Clark and Lois. And so, yeah, it would be great to see that in the next trailer because you're right. We can see a certain amount of chemistry, but we want to see the banter, and we certainly want to see Lois's personality. Like, I want to see that spunkiness of Lois, and getting that next trailer is a good call.
Yeah, and again, we can kind of see it a little bit, like with the one shot of her walking in the planet with a coffee mug in her hand, and newspaper under her arm, and she's got her tongue kind of in her cheek, like almost like she's about to make some sort of snippy comment toward Clark or something. But it's definitely something I want to see, because that's another thing that has made me optimistic is when Gunn has been saying when you cast Superman, you need to cast Clark, because
Mhm.
that's actually the harder sell, is Clark Kent over Superman. You can look great in the suit, but if you can't perform both of the roles, let alone Clark, and give him humanity, it's not going to work. And then he's gone a step further to say when he cast Lois and Clark, he cast them together, which is why
Mhm.
they did so many chemistry reads. So I really like that he has at least he's giving lip service to it, acknowledging that that was his mentality going into the casting process. So I mean, everything I've seen of the movie so far, like I said, has pretty much given me great hope that it's going to be a great Superman movie, a great DC movie. So I want to see some of these other things that you wouldn't necessarily think of looking for in a trailer, but it's something that's really important for the characters.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really astute observation, and I'm with you. I also, I mean, along those lines, want to see a snippet of his Clark and how mild mannered will this Clark be? Will
Yeah, yeah.
will he be as bumbling as Christopher Reeve? My hunch is no, but I think he will be more bumbling than Henry Cavill. So, like,
Yes.
where is it going to land in between those two polar opposites?
Yeah, because you can tell he's carrying himself a little. I think it's the Frank Quitely who illustrated All Star Superman. I
Hmm.
think he did like a character breakdown of how he draws Superman, which is spine straight up and down, and chest out and everything, but then a diagram of Clark, and his upper spine is bent over because he makes himself smaller and
Hmm.
wears baggier clothes to make himself seem less physically imposing.
Yeah.
So you can tell that Corin Sweat is kind of carrying himself differently as Clark than he is as Superman. But yeah, I want to see how he performs it vocally, not just in his physical mannerisms.
Yeah, agreed. Well, we shall see. Again, my hunch is it will be sooner than later. I think they're going to want it in theaters by May at some point. I was thinking by May 2nd in time for Thunderbolts, but maybe they're going to wait till Memorial Day. I don't know. But I think that they're going to want it earlier in the summer movie season. So
Yeah.
the more people get to see it when they go to the
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah, and I did also see went and saw the Minecraft movie this past weekend with my kid, and yeah, it had the extended preview with crypto and everything, and oh my gosh, it looks gorgeous on the big screen. It is, I
That's
mean,
awesome.
it's stunning, beautiful colors, everything. It just looks amazing.
I love it. And how old is your kid?
He's 12.
He's 12. Oh, okay. So he's an older kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, Harley is 3, but she is all about crypto, which is adorable. And
Mhm.
so, yeah. All right, cool. Well, there you go. Jay Yaws's take on Superman. So we did it anyway.
Ha.
Anything else you need to get off your chest before we move on?
Um, let's see. I don't think so. No,
All
no.
right. All right.
Metamorpho rules.
Metamorpho, man, is gonna be awesome. I mean, and not to mention Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner. Like, I get that people are like, "Oh, is it gonna be too much?" But also, we're getting Metamorpho and Guy Gardner in a movie, guys.
And I mean, even no matter what you think about the movie itself, I mean, obviously with Guardians, he's done it, but even with the Suicide Squad, even if you don't necessarily like the movie itself, nobody in that movie really got shortchanged unless they were supposed to get shortchanged. I mean,
Yeah.
if you like Javelin, I'm sorry, but but I mean, Gunn knows how to balance his characters and everything. So again, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, there you go. Quick little update on Superman. More to come as always, but let's talk about Batman, specifically Batman toys. And so it's time to go back to the 90s, my friend, and take a look at the Legends of the Dark Knight toy line.
Batman, Legends of the Dark Knight. 7 towering inches. Twister Strike Scarecrow has a frightening slice. Neural Claw Batman strikes with wings of enormous might. Dive Claw Robin fights with colossal power. Now the Skywing Street Fight delivers the ultimate air-to-ground assault. Skywing Street Fight comes with other figures sold separately.
Now, we've done this a couple times, Jay. We've done it with Batman and Robin. We've done it with Batman Forever, along with Brendan, because I am legally required to have him on all Batman Forever conversations.
Yes, I've seen the paperwork.
It's such a contract, so much fine print, but it's worth it, I think. But this is one that is very random, but I'm into it. And we had talked about doing it a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, well, then let's do it now because it has been a minute since we talked toys. So the Legends of the Dark Knight line came out, according to the internet, in 1996.
So it came out in 1996 because the internet never lies.
I would assume so. It's never lied to me yet. So 1996, and this is not to be confused with the toy line that is Legends of the Batman. Or is it just Legends of Batman?
I think it's Legends of Batman.
Okay, it's not. I don't know if there's a "the" in there, but even in my brain, I get them crossed a bit.
Which is why I did a single post for all of these.
Yeah. And I get it because also Legends of the Dark Knight was not a huge line. So I understand lumping them together, but they are separate. So Legends of the Dark Knight figures are much bigger. And Legends of Batman were much smaller, but they all sort of dip their toe into Elseworlds versions of all the characters.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So we're going to stick to just Legends of the Dark Knight. We'll save Legends of Batman for another time. And because it's not a huge line, we're not going to cover all of it, but we're going to come pretty close.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much going to cover everything except like a bunch of the Batman variants.
Yeah, because that's, like any Batman toy line, it's a handful of not Batman characters and then 5 times as many Batman repaints, resculpts, variants, because that's what you get when you have a Batman toy line.
Yep. So we each picked 6, and again, I think that the toy line was probably what I would guess 18, maybe.
Yeah,
I think we're probably leaving 6 Batman variants off the table at the moment, but
I don't think either of us picked Batgirl either.
Oh yeah, but honorable mention to Batgirl. That one was pretty cool. Yeah. I almost picked her, but we each picked 6. Same format we've done in the past. I think we picked a few more this time because, hey, we're not doing the mailbox tonight. We got time.
Exactly.
So let's kick it off. What is your first choice? And I should say, I'm going to put all these on the post on Facebook so you guys can look at them. You can also Google them at your leisure so you can see them, because I should note, we're going to talk about them. But if you don't remember these, you should see them.
Yes. Because
descriptions will not do them justice.
Oh my gosh. These are some toys, guys.
Yeah, they went wild, but that's why I dig it. So anyway, Jay, sorry. Please continue.
It's all right. It's all right. What's kind of notable about this is we were kind of joking, but not really, about how many variants there are for Batman. This is a great line for villains.
Agree.
Most of the characters both of us picked are villains, and they knocked most of them out of the park. Like they would be almost perfect representations of these characters in toy form, except for some, quibbles and nitpicks for them. But by and large, all the villain characters look amazing. And my first pick is the Penguin. And he comes with a what they call a spinning attack umbrella that you can put onto his hand, and then there's a little knob at his elbow that you can kind of turn around, and the umbrella will twirl, which is kind of neat. At first glance and even far away, this looks like a one-to-one perfect comic accurate penguin with a black tuxedo, top hat. He's got a monocle in the umbrella, of course. Does he might have, no, I don't think so. I thought he maybe had a little cigarette or something in his mouth, but he doesn't. But even still, it looks great. But then when you zoom in on it, you see that his umbrella and his overcoat for his tuxedo are all like bird wings. So it's
Mm.
like he plucked dozens and dozens of birds to make his clothing, which is a little weird and a little macabre and a little 90s extreme, which will come up a lot in our conversation here, and also is kind of part of the charm of the toy line. Also, part of what would keep it from being a perfect penguin figure. But, it's 90% of the way there, and no matter what, it just looks great.
Yeah. So I didn't even notice the detail of the feathers on the umbrella and his jacket. So I've zoomed in, and you're right. Absolutely. I would say these figures are 6 inches. Does that feel right?
Maybe 8. This one
Maybe.
might be
Okay.
5 or 6 inches
Yeah,
because
because
he
he's the
does look
penguin.
he looks a little shorter.
Yeah, but these are very shockingly large action figures. And yes, this penguin is awesome. I agree with you. Most of the villains in this line are so cool. And I've been on the record before as Penguin's never been my favorite because I've always found him a little boring. And so whenever they can spice him up a bit, I am all for it.
Yes.
And this is like a cool, monstrous, scary looking penguin who is still unmistakably the penguin. Like, I just like, he's got that grimace on his face. He's got almost claw-like hands, but he's still the penguin. So they went extreme for this entire line. The entire line is extreme. They didn't go
Yes.
subtle for anything.
No.
So you got to be on board with that. And I like this creepy looking version of the penguin.
I just noticed this too. The parasol handle for his umbrella looks like a bunch of bird bones, and
Mm-hmm.
the curve at the end is a bird skull. You can see the beak there.
Yeah. And I have most of these figures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I've never opened them.
Ah,
So I have all of these guys, not all, but again, most in a box, including this one, but I never opened them. So like, I never knew how the action features worked. These were ones I bought, 1996, 1997. I had just gotten out of high school. I was just starting college. I started to have a little bit of extra money. And so I started buying these things, but never even bothered opening them. So yeah, it's fun to actually look back at them and know that I've got a bunch, out in the garage.
very nice.
All right. So the penguin, a good first choice. I dig the look of this penguin. It is cool. It's 90s, but I dig it.
Me too, which is why I
Oh,
picked it.
all right, perfect. All right, so I am gonna go with my first choice, and I am going with a Batman variant.
Oh,
We're not doing many, but I felt like we needed at least one. And I am a sucker for ice themed bat suits. They're ridiculous, they're silly, but somehow they make me happy. And so I went with Glacier Shield Batman, which the titles, you got to love the way they name these Glacier Shield Batman.
yes.
And so it is the look of Batman in this entire line is pretty much consistent, but this is white and a deep bright blue together, and the white wings and his white shoulders, they all look like ice. So this is what Batman would wear to fight Mr. Freeze. And so yeah, I love ice themed stuff anyway, and I think this is a cool looking Batman. I just
Ayo.
What's that? Oh, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
said, "Ayo."
Sorry. I mean, even the bat symbol is blue and white instead of yellow and white, and I dig that too. He's got these weird giant ice axes. I don't think you really need them, but the big extreme over the top ice cape, I think, is a pretty awesome look. So yeah, Glacier Shield Batman. I love the colors. I dig it. If I was gonna get one that's not the classic Batman, this would be the one.
Yeah, definitely. That blue is really, really. I mean, just a very pretty blue because it's
Yeah.
just it's bright, but also like a deeper hue too. So it's not just like an aquamarine or cerulean or something like that. I mean, this is it's a darker blue, but it still pops.
Mhm.
And I mean, to go along with the 90s-ness of it, back then you would have some artists would draw Batman with ridiculous shoulder spikes under his cape, and this is just going one step further,
Mhm.
and I like it. And yeah, I mean, looking at the box, which I didn't notice this, but the boxes actually say Elseworlds on it. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah, but in the bottom right corner, there's a little. You can see it better on the penguin photo, but there's a little blue circle in the bottom right corner
Oh,
of the
you're
package,
right. Yeah, yeah,
and it says
yeah.
Elsewhere. So it's like, oh, fitting enough. But no, I mean, that's a cool looking figure. It's ridiculous, but you know what? That's what we're here for is,
Right, right.
ridiculous Batman toys, and we make no
Ridiculous in the best
apologies.
possible way.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So yeah, that's my big Batman variant. Thought it was a good icebreaker. Oh.
Hey, oh, two
uh,
for one there.
yeah, didn't even mean to do that. Anyway, it's really neat, and I this one I do not own, but it does make me want to go on eBay. So, all right, what is your next choice, Jay?
My next choice is Jungle Rage Robin. I picked this for the same reason I think you picked another figure is because it's Robin and I love Robin. And
Sam.
I mean, there are two, so I picked one of them. I don't know why this one in particular. Um, I mean, the camo cape is insanity, but still kind of cool. I actually, take away the scales and everything. I like the way the suit looks from a color standpoint.
Mhm.
Like with the boots are kind of black, but then you got the green of the leggings going up into the torso, but then it turning into like a red chest piece with green shoulders and then red sleeves. I think that's kind of cool. Like if you could get a more traditional looking Robin suit with those kind of colors, I don't know, it might work. It might look a little different than we're used to, but the idea there, I just kind of like. But I mean, mostly I love Robin. I've always loved Robin, and I will take a Robin action figure any day of the week. So I chose Jungle Rage Robin.
Awesome. Yeah, this one is crazy. Like you said, I'm just happy to see Robin, and the face, the head sculpt of him is a great looking Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I love the mask. It's a little more of a Nightwing style mask, but I love it. I like how he looks. He's got the 90s Tim Drake insignia on his chest, which
Mm-hmm.
is perfect. And
All timer.
yeah, it's the best. And you're right, the colors are really great. I agree with you. The camo the camo cape is where they lose me a bit. But it's Jungle Rage Robin. So what are you gonna do? So again, the accessories are a bit much. He also comes with a face mask that almost looks like a Casey Jones type mask
Yeah, yeah.
or Jason X or something.
Yes, that is very much a Jason X man.
So yeah, I mean it's a pretty cool Robin figure. If and to your point, if you lose the shoulder pads and you give him a black cape, he's pretty close to a classic Robin or a 90s classic Robin, if you will.
Yeah, yeah, it would look really good. Just toning it down a little bit, but we're
Yeah,
not
and
here to tone it down.
and that's honestly my biggest complaint with the line is you get two Robins and we're going to talk about them both, but I wish they would have done just a traditional Robin because I would have
Mhm.
loved to have seen the 90s traditional Robin in this style, but they did Jungle Rage and then they did the one we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, Batman really doesn't get much more, so I mean, that clearly wasn't the focus of the line, but even still, Batman does get a more traditional look in one of the two of the figures technically, But so yeah, even if you get a Robin with a traditional look and snap on a bunch of weird accessories, that would have been preferable too. But take what we can get, and just enjoy what we have.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, but like the villains are relatively traditional, so that's why it's like you should still do kind of a classic of all, and then you can go nuts with Jungle Rage and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right, well then, as long as we're talking Robin, I might as well talk about my choice as well, and that is Dive Claw Robin. So this is the underwater Robin, and it's a different face sculpt, a different mask. This is the rounder version of the mask, and this is instead of a cape, it's more like underwater wings that he's got. But the reason I picked this one is the colors. I think the colors are just great. It is red and green to the nth degree, but again, very deep versions of red and green. And it just, and it's just a great combo on him. And if I were going to buy one of the Robins, I would pick this one just because he looks enough like a classic Robin, but also has enough of this crazy Elseworlds underwater twist to him. Yeah. So I think he's super cool looking. And I just dig this design for what Robin in an underwater suit would look like.
Yeah. And honestly, if I were to pick one figure from the entire line just to buy to have something from the line, it would probably be this one, because this is the figure I remember the most. I don't think I ever owned any of these back in the 90s, but I remember always seeing a Dive Claw Robin, going to Walmart or Target or even like the Warner Brothers store. I remember seeing this one a lot, and I know I saw other figures, like other Batman figures, but this one stuck out. Probably because I've always liked Robin so much.
Yeah, of course. And I've got to correct myself, is I assumed this was an underwater one. And as it so happens, I found pictures of the front and back of the package. It's not. It's Dive Claw in that he is flying and diving towards people. He is not underwater. So that was an assumption on my part. My bad. But I also have the premise of the toy line. So so here it is. It's on the back of the package, and this was one of the only ones where I found the back. It says, "From a horrible nightmare, Batman awakens to a twisted parallel world where the criminals are in total tyrannical control. In this apocalyptic vision of Gotham City, the villains are unimaginably deadly, and the Dark Knight finds himself surrounded. To fight back and regain control, he develops neural suit technology that acts as an integral part of his being, tapping into his thoughts and impulses and automatically reacting to danger without hesitation. Now Batman becomes a living, breathing weapon, and his adventures become legends of the Dark Knight."
And also Robin is there.
And Robin. It says Dive Claw Robin locks onto Batman's neural suit technology, using it to turn his cape into an enormous power glide wings that allow him to track down Gotham City's most horrific evildoers in relentless pursuit. When he's got them cornered, he launches a blast attack missile, sending it hurtling with excessive force.
See instructions on bottom of package.
So yeah, that's the premise. It is the whole thing is Elseworlds, and that's why the villains are a little extreme, is because these are like the deadliest, most tyrannical versions of them. And so the reason Batman and Robin are wearing all this extra random gear is because it's neural suit technology.
So really, when we thought they went too far, they did not go far enough.
Maybe not. Yeah. So, all right. So Jungle Strike Robin?
Yeah, and going back to it.
Or Jungle Rage Robin.
Jungle Rage Robin. He's mad.
Jungle Rage. He's mad. He's got to be in the jungle. Like those suits, make you sweat. He wasn't a fan. And then Dive Claw Robin, both super cool.
Yes. I would like to own either of them. I would gladly own either of them. So, I guess we're just moving on.
I don't remember if I have them, so now I need to dig it up and find out. But anyway, continue. What is your next choice?
I'm just going to go in the order that you place these in this little gallery. So
I did it. I did it in my best guess for you, and so I don't know how close I came.
Honestly, I mean, you got number one right. Everything else just kind of fell into place. So, I
Great,
mean,
great.
so that's the only one that really mattered. So I appreciate it. And, I'd say that you got it pretty close. Next is Lethal Impact Bane. Um, if you remember back to our Batman and Robin toy episode, I'm pretty sure one of us, probably me, maybe it was you, I don't remember, picked Bane because that was like the perfect Bane action figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I,
of
I
all,
don't I don't remember who picked it either, but also it doesn't matter because as long as someone picked it, we had it covered.
yes, and I mean it is to this day probably the best Bane action figure of all time. This one is close. Lethal Impact Bane. He's got that luchador look with the mask and the deep, deep, deep V-neck shirt, and he's got tubes running all over him, and has some, what does it say? With venom powered punch and stinger gauntlet. So he has some weird, gauntlet he can put on his arm to, I
It's
guess,
that big
sting
red
Batman.
piece, and so it looks
Yeah,
like two big spikes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he can put that on his arm and sting Batman and Robin, I guess. It looks
This Bane
great.
is a scorpion.
Yes. Which, come to think of it, that'd be kind of awesome.
Yeah, I'm
But
down.
anyway, it looks almost perfect, save for maybe two things. One is, well, they're both minor. The tubes he has running on him are red. I think they should be green because Venom is green. But hey,
Mm.
maybe in this Legends of the Dark Knight Neural Link, Dream World, whatever, it recycles his blood or something, and that's more hardcore. I don't know, but
Let's go with
also,
that. I like that headcanon,
yeah,
Jay.
yeah, yeah,
You put more thought into it than I did. I just thought, they're like red's cool.
yeah.
It'll break up the blue. Yeah.
Sure, put more thought into it than they did too. So, but then he also has a massive, glorious head of hair coming out of the back
Yeah.
of his
Yeah. Yeah.
mask,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I don't know. It's just weird because it's not. I mean, if they put hair like on his arms and maybe bursting through his jeans and everything, you could say, okay, maybe he's going into some sort of like werewolf type beast mode or something. But no, this is the only evidence of hair on Bane's body, and it's just a little out of place.
Mm-hmm. I am with you. If you had wanted to tell me this is the best Bane figure of all time, I wouldn't even fight you on it because it is awesome. You can certainly quibble, but I think it's an awesome Bane. I agree. The only part that always threw me off was that huge hair. I was like, it's like a huge bulbous ponytail in the back of his head. If you remove that, I would argue it's a perfect Bane figure. The red tubes
Yeah.
I didn't even think twice about it because he looks awesome. He's huge. He's scary. He looks like Bane. But yeah, the hair is like the only thing that really differentiates him from what I would expect from a more traditional looking Bane anyway.
Yeah, if it didn't have the hair, I probably wouldn't have even mentioned the tubes just because, like, you know what? If that's the only thing I find wrong with this figure, we're doing good here. But I mean, the fact that, complaining about plastic hair on an action figure seems a little, nitpicky. I decided to, might as well bring it up. But yeah, I mean,
I would have brought it up anyway of just being like, yeah, but I don't remember Bane ever having that huge chunk of ponytail in the back, but this version does, and I don't even hate it. It just is the one thing where you go,
it's weird.
oh,
It's
that's
it's
different.
weird.
Yeah.
The good thing though is I'm sure it's probably easy to, take an X-Acto knife and just lop it off and then
Mhm.
maybe, repaint it. So, if anyone out there wants to try that, let us know. Let us know your findings.
Awesome. Well, no, it's a great Bane figure. Great choice. This is one that I know I have. I love it.
Nice. Very cool.
All right, let's stick with villains, my friend. And we're going to talk about Laughing Gas Joker. Another one I know I've got. And so this Joker, the face is awesome. I think it's a great Joker face, great, awesome green hair, very comics, big, huge red lipped smile, great Joker face. What throws this one off is that this is a very large Joker. He's got some mass to him. This looks like Joker on the Bane Venom. And he comes with a little friend who's like, you know what he looks like? It looks like a ghost from the real Ghostbusters wearing a Joker hat.
Yes, it does.
It's that
100%.
style of creature. It's like a white little creature who looks like he just strutted out of a Saturday morning cartoon, but he's wearing a Joker Harley Quinn hat. Not Harley Quinn, Harlequin. But yes. So I don't know what his deal is or where he came from, but I'm going to write a whole bunch of fan fiction about him later and just figure out his tragic backstory, but he's random. And Joker is huge, which I remember when this came out and I got to figure, I was like, that's weird, but it is cool. I dig it. And then this Joker comes with a surprise. So the big, huge chest and arms pop off, and inside is a much more slender body of what you would expect the Joker to look like, and he is holding a bomb. And
a Smilex bomb.
Yes. And I always thought that was just so clever of being like, okay, we're giving you this big, weird Joker that's muscular, but inside he's still the Joker you know and love. Mm-hmm. He's still up to something. It's all part of a big joke. And so I love that they could kind of have their cake and eat it too with this Joker. It's weird, but it's fun, and I dig it.
Yes. It's a great looking figure for sure. I also like the huge gun that it comes with that you can fit in the larger hands of the suit. I always imagined that the little jester ghost figure was supposed to maybe be a like an anthropomorphized, like a playing card, like a Joker card. It kind of has that body shape and, just like it's sprouted arms and legs. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but that anytime
he is flat like a card, so it's possible. Yeah.
That's what I always imagined it to be. But no, like you said, it's a great figure, great sculpt. And the fact that it has that cool little action feature just makes it that much better because it totally fits in with the Joker's, joking personality.
Yeah. And what it says on the package, it says, with exploding decoy suit that reveals his true identity, which is that he's just a wily little trickster hiding a bomb. And I didn't even notice that it said Smilex on the bomb. You have to zoom in to see it. So great call there, Jay.
I only noticed because I was zoomed in on it.
Yep. So no, this one, like a great looking Joker anyway, and then also very clever in the weird approach they took.
Yes, absolutely.
Sweet. So that is Laughing Gas Joker. I know that there was like a variant of him too, but the best I could tell is it was the same one, he just different color scheme.
Yeah, I think it's like a white suit with maybe some purple, like purple highlighting instead of red and green. I think I don't remember. It's something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, there you go. That is Laughing Gas Joker, and that brings us to your next choice, Jay.
So let's swing back into the light of, the Dark Knight, I guess. And my next choice is the premium. Well, they're all premium. Never mind. But the Batman The Dark Knight figure. This is about as traditional of a Batman figure as you're going to find in this line. And it's pretty traditional looking, save for its massive wild cape. But what I really like about it, it's a just Batman figure. He comes with a batarang and he comes with a cape. He's got the blue and gray bat suit with the yellow and black yellow oval. There's really nothing crazy about this except the cape kind of expands and is just huge. It's almost like, Spawn, like a Spawn cape.
I was going to say it's very McFarlane Batman.
But what it really reminds me of, the figure itself, is a Kelly Jones drawing. This This looks like, you take something from the Nightfall era of Batman, take one of those covers with Batman with the long ears, and Jones would go pretty crazy with the anatomy as well, with lots of, abs and even muscles and bones and everything on the arms and legs, and then just draw these huge capes. This looks like something that Kelly Jones would have drawn, and I like it, even though Jones is a very acquired taste, a very distinct style. It's very much a 90s look for Batman. So if you're going to have a 90s Batman action figure, this is a pretty perfect representation of that whole era.
I'll tell you, my friend, I love this Batman. I love him so much. I let you choose him because I knew we would get to talk about him. This is one of my favorite Batman figures of all time.
Very, very nice. Very good
It's
choice.
it's awesome. I'm not going to say it's number one, but it's in the conversation. And I remember back in 1996, 1997, when I was picking these up, I never could find this one. This one was tough to find, and on eBay right now, he goes for over $100.
Wow.
Because he's so cool. Because you're right, what it is it's the most extreme version of 90s Batman, but in a really good way. So I love a big Batman cape. I love big Batman ears. I love the yellow oval on the symbol. So this has all of that. His ears are extreme. The cape is extreme, but he also is very classic. It's that classic color scheme, and he's just a great looking Batman. You said Kelly Jones. I said McFarlane, but regardless, that cape is a character unto itself.
Yes, it
And
is.
it's like its own figure, and I'm here for it. So yeah, this one I always wanted to find in the wild, never did, because he is just so cool. And I think that's why I never could find him, is because if you're only going to get one figure from this line, it's probably this one.
Yeah, and there is a variant of it that's just all black with the a black cape, black suit with the yellow oval, and I think it still has a yellow utility belt. But
Mhm.
I mean, it still looks really cool. But I mean, given the choice, I'm going to go with blue and gray every day.
Same. I'm with you.
So I like this one more.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that the reason I maybe wouldn't put it at number one is his legs are a little too skinny for me. I think that, and back in the 90s, they did some weird positioning of the legs on figures, and this is
Yeah,
an example of that.
yeah, almost like they were going for action figure collectibles
Yeah.
before that really became a thing, and instead it really wasn't the best of either world, so they ended up looking a little weird.
Yep. Yep. And honestly, we had the same problem with the Batman Forever figures. If you remember,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like their stance, that's the word I'm looking for. Their stances are so wide and awkward that like it's harder than it should be to get them to stand up on their own.
Yeah, and sometimes the legs are not even. So like one foot will purposefully be meant to be positioned in front of the other. So you can't unless you have the legs, bent that particular way, you can't really get them to stand up.
Yeah. But anyway, that aside, that tangent off to the side, this is a
Yeah.
great looking Batman. Love the look, love the colors. It's awesome. This is on my Batman toy wish list. One of these days, I'll probably track one down. But for now, I'll just admire it from afar like I did back in 1996.
Yeah. And what's crazy about it is, I mentioned it's Kelly Jones, whether that was intentional or not. It looks more like an artist style than a lot of those inspired by action figures these days,
Mm,
that are intentionally trying to ape a specific style. So it's almost, I don't know if it's that, they were intentionally trying to make a Kelly Jones inspired figure, or if just the ridiculous proportions and anatomy and everything of Jones's style on the page translates really well to 3D figures. But I mean, it looks great either way.
yeah. Yep. Awesome. And yeah, the title on this figure just says Batman the Dark Knight,
Yeah.
but it's awesome.
So cool.
All right, let's move on. My next choice is the one and only vehicle. Maybe there was a Batmobile too.
See, I always think there's a Batmobile, but I think it's
It's Legends of Batman.
the Legends of Batman Batmobile. Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right.
because it's like all silver and everything, so it looks like it could kind of maybe fit in with this line, but no, I think this is the only vehicle of the entire line here.
I think so too. I think it's the only vehicle, and that is the Skywing Street Bike. And this comes with an exclusive Batman figure. I'll tell you, that's one of my least favorite Batman designs. So that's why they had to package it with the vehicle, because even this one's too funky for me. He kind of looks like he's covered in like silver webbing more than anything, and even the cowl, like it's a black cowl, but the ears are silver, and it has sort of like a centerpiece that's silver. It's a bit much for me. I'm not a big fan.
I mean, this Batman figure and the street bike itself is all about the branding. I mean, there's bats everywhere here because that symbol in the center of his head is the bat symbol.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
But the street bike, I think, is insane and awesome.
Yes.
It is. I mean, it is not a street bike. He's flying a giant mutant bat. Like, it is a creature, not a vehicle, even though they're calling it a vehicle, because it has a giant, massive bat head and 2 giant bat wings that I guess deploy so the street bike can also fly. I think it even says that. It says,
converts from ground cycle to air assault vehicle.
There you go. So yeah, the wings pop out, and so you can fly too. But like, this vehicle is so insane and so unlike anything you have seen in Batman. I think it's more at home in something like Masters of the Universe, where the vehicles were more creatures than vehicles. This is like that, but the Batman version. And hey, I love Masters of the Universe, so maybe that's why I like this, because it's madness under a normal like Batman toy line. I would probably be like, what the heck? But for this, it's perfectly what the heck.
I mean, if we're going to 11 with this whole toy line, you might as well go to 11.
Yeah.
This goes to 11. It has giant bat ears. It's not just a bat head. I mean, it has ears, eyes, it has teeth, everything. It is ridiculous in the best way possible.
And apparently the mouth of the bat head opens to shoot a missile.
Because of course it does.
Why wouldn't it?
I would be disappointed if it didn't.
Yeah. So, if you're only going to have one vehicle, this is a pretty darn good one. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone always wants to do the Batmobile. I appreciate them swinging for the fences.
Yep. The Skywing Street Bike needs to make its way to other media.
It seriously does. In one of those recent big event comics, Batman rode a motorcycle that had a giant bat head on the front, like a bat skull. This isn't that far removed from that, so why not?
Agreed. Why not? So the Skywing Street Bike, the only vehicle, but a cool one nonetheless.
Yeah, and it comes with a free, terrible action figure. So there you go.
Yep. That you wouldn't buy on its own, but now you get it.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right. What is your next choice, Jay?
All right. Going back to the villains, because like we said, there are some great villain figures here. I chose Clayface. I love Clayface just in general. Just the weird, goopy mud monster just always appeals to me for some reason. And this Clayface looks like a combination of a couple of different iterations of the character. I mean, it's clearly supposed to be the clay monster version, but it kind of has shades of the Clayface 3. If you're familiar with that one, it's the Preston Payne version that's in a bodysuit, and when he's in that containment suit, because if he touches anything, it like burns living tissue. So like this kind of metallic armor and stuff that he's wearing kind of gives me that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
But One thing I actually didn't even notice until I was looking at these figures earlier today is that he actually has two mouths. So it's almost
Hmm.
like he has two faces. And it just looks creepy and gross and weird. And it's not like a normal clay face, but considering that the character itself can, change form and everything, and that's kind of a trademark of Clayface himself. This wouldn't be too far removed from something you might actually see in a more traditional toy line or even comic book. And yeah, I just like it because it looks disgusting.
Yeah. I love this one. I think it's such a cool look for Clayface because it is unmistakably Clayface. But like you said, I appreciate like the sci-fi outfit. They gave him some clothes, they gave him some tubes. Like I appreciate that extra element. And like you said, he has multiple faces. So it's almost like Manny faces for Masters of the Universe again.
There we
Um,
go.
and that's what his feature says. It says with face change force. I think it says it's a little fuzzy. But yeah, I think it's a great look, and I love how huge his hands are.
Yes.
Like they're monstrously big, and so if you were gonna play with these as action figures, perish the thought. Um, you could have a lot of fun smacking around Batman and Robin with those massive clay hands.
Yeah, and because like they're big and kind of spiky, but still goopy,
Yeah,
and but his feet are just really flat, almost like a little puddle, which I think is just kind of fun too, and I'm sure helps to balance the figure because they're so wide and flat.
mhm.
But yeah, it's a great design just in general. I love this one.
Yep, agreed. It's a really cool look for Clayface, and yeah, to get that effect of the goopy, slimy clay in a sculpt like this, it's really well done.
And I honestly didn't even realize it said that it had the face changing feature. I thought it was just
Yeah,
supposed to be, two, like almost like two heads on one body, which, would still work.
yeah,
It's just kind of taken a little extra monstrous approach to Clayface. So that would still fit in with the character himself.
yeah. It works either way, or maybe that was the intention, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't do an action feature. Let's just say you can change his
Oh,
face."
yeah, you can turn his head around. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
good
Yeah,
enough.
with head turning action.
All right, so that is Clayface. My next choice, I'm going with another villain. I am going with Catwoman. More specifically, Panther Prowl Catwoman. And like the other villains, I just think it's a really cool, unique, different design for Catwoman. Certainly very 90s, but hey, isn't that part of the fun?
Yes, it is.
So she's purple and black, and so she has it's the 90s interpretation of the classic purple Catwoman look, and I really dig it. The accessory that she comes with, it's a giant like panther exoskeleton suit. I'll tell you, I own this one. I don't, I always thought, who needs that exoskeleton? I just want the cool purple Catwoman. That's what I'm here for. But hey, if you want the exoskeleton, it's there. It's very like if the loader from Aliens that Ripley was in was built to look like a panther, that would be this.
Yeah, yeah.
But regardless, she has a purple whip. She's got the thigh high boots. And then yeah, just a nice, great purple outfit. Like with a lot of these, I think the colors are what really grab me, and I love this. And even her hair is a darker shade of bluish purple. So yeah, I think it's a very cool look for Catwoman, and I really like this one.
Yeah, it looks, I mean, it's one of the least extreme designs of any of the characters. Um, but I mean, the figure looks really cool. Um, Definitely recognizably Catwoman. If she appeared on the page like this, I might be like, okay, that's too much, walk it back a little bit. But for what they're doing with this, it actually looks pretty good and, surprisingly kind of modest, which some of the other female figures in this era did not have that going for them. So the fact that they actually showed restraint for a character like Catwoman, who is sometimes very sexualized is kind of surprising.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. Accessory, that big panther, what, the stalker panther.
Mhm.
Um, I'd imagine you can maybe position that to make it look almost like a statue.
I
So
think you can, if memory serves, because again, this is what I know I have. If memory serves, they actually showed on the back of the thing that you can just sort of pose it so it looks more like a pet than it is a suit.
yeah, or even like an ancient sculpture that maybe she's, wanting to steal. So
Mhm.
that would kind of fit in. So even though it's a bit of a case of putting a hat on a hat with the accessories, um, it still, fits and still looks pretty cool itself.
Yeah. And it was an interesting point that you're like, oh, they actually covered her up more than you would maybe expect. Because you mentioned we didn't pick Batgirl. There is a Batgirl in the series. I really like it. Again, I almost picked her just because it was cool to get a Batgirl outfit. But that
Right.
one goes the other direction where she's showing a lot of skin for Batgirl. Um, and so, yeah, you're right. They're showing some restraint with Catwoman is unexpected, but it's nice. And for me, the purple and black just look so good together.
Good color combo.
Awesome. All right. I think that brings us to your final choice.
My final choice is Man Bat. This is a perfect Man Bat figure. There's really no qualifiers, no perfect, but this is a fantastic figure. It looks exactly like Man Bat. This could fit as Man Bat in any iteration of Batman you could think of. It's simple, yet works like every. It's not over designed, but it's very well detailed, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Mm,
Um, the arms and the wings look awesome. He has like a torn shirt, really cool look, like a scowl or a snarl on his face. Really great detailing of the just the batness of the character while still looking humanoid. And I mean, it just looks it almost looks like if someone had the idea of taking the Man Bat look from Batman the Animated Series and making it live action, it would
mm,
look like this.
yeah.
It is terrific. Like I said, there's nothing at all wrong with this figure from what it's supposed to be, what it looks like, who it is. I think it's fantastic.
I completely agree. I knew this one was your number one, and I think rightfully so. Because for all of the ones, even Bane, which is so close to being traditional Bane, they gave him that hair, but Man Bat, it's just Man Bat. Like they didn't give it a spin. He doesn't have a neural, what did they call it? A neural technology, neural suit
Neural link,
technology. Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't
whatever.
have an exoskeleton. He doesn't have tubes. It's just Man Bat with the torn clothes and the great, you know, physicality of what Man Bat should look like and the great wings with the veins on them. So it's just a beautifully sculpted Man Bat figure that is huge. And so they didn't overthink it, they didn't overdo it. They knew the assignment, they nailed it.
Yeah, of I have gotten close to eBaying two figures in this line, and it's Man-Bat and Clayface.
Mm.
Haven't pulled the trigger, just because it's not a need, it's a want, and money. But I mean, I I would love to have this figure at some point. I mean, that's not a call to anything. It's just like, I mentioned Robin, that if I were to get something to represent the line for me, I might get that Dive Claw Robin. But if I were
Mhm.
to just have any choice of any figure in the line, it would be this, just because it's funny because it's a perfect representation of Man Bat, and yet without needing any of the extra craziness to it, it still fits in perfectly with the rest of the line as well, because
Yeah.
he's scary,
Mhm.
and it does look like a more menacing man bat that would be, to the point of the synopsis of the story behind the line. It would be something that would be in, Batman's darkest, deepest, worst nightmares, is something looking like this.
Yeah, well, I do have this one. This one I know I've got, and he's still in his package. And I mean, agreed all around. I just was noticing as I'm looking at the detail on this that something that's so cool is his hands, his thumb, his index finger, and his middle finger are still pretty humanoid, but his ring finger and his pinky are elongated and go into the wings.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's such a great detail.
I don't think I've ever actually seen that in a man bat design, because I think usually it's either all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like he has wings under his arms, but he still has human hands. Or I'm pretty sure in the animated series, it's his arms are his wings. So yeah, I mean that's just a really cool subtle change that just looks awesome and looks very
Mhm.
unique, yet still very cool.
Yeah. And the package boasts a huge 15-inch wingspan.
Which that is huge.
It's badass. Yeah. Again, these figures are all huge, but this is the hugest of the huge, and rightfully so.
All
All
right,
right.
so
Excellent
yours.
number one.
Thank you, thank you.
So, speaking of huge figures, I also chose a huge villain for my number one. And you were so funny because you're like, oh, here are my choices. And by the way, I didn't choose this one because I knew you'd want it.
Yes.
That was very nice of you. And so my final choice is Twister Strike Scarecrow.
After all these years, I think I would know you a little bit, Andy. So
Yeah, like I'm not shy about what I like and what I don't. But Scarecrow, one of my favorite Batman villains. I think it's, because of how much I also love Halloween. And so Batman, Halloween, I love the iconography of a scarecrow anyway, and this is a great looking scarecrow. It is a huge scarecrow. Scarecrow is one of those characters, kind of like Clayface actually, where he has looked 100 different ways over the years. And so there's a lot of latitude as to how you want the scarecrow to look, because there's not really a wrong answer. And I think this is a great classic scarecrow, but a huge, intimidating one. So
yes.
usually he's not huge, but this time he is. In the Legends of the Dark Knight universe, this is a big boy. And so he's very classic scarecrow looking, but he's got like the wooden planks coming out of his shoulders as if he had been hoisted up like a scarecrow.
Mhm.
He's very buff. He's got a big scary face. He has a giant scythe, which, every good scarecrow should have a scythe
Of course.
anyway. And so, yeah, he's just. I love how big and intimidating this scarecrow is. Where he is definitely more stylized into this Elseworlds world, but just enough without going too far. It's a nice balance of classic and giving it a new spin, kind of like I'd say Penguin was close like that. So yeah, this is just a badass looking scarecrow, and I love how he looks, and he is one that is another one that I've got. But when I think of this line, this is the first figure I think of.
Yeah, this is, I mean, if you hadn't wanted to pick this one, I would have picked this one because, I mean, it is terrific. Head to toe. It's an amazing looking scarecrow no matter which version you're looking at. Kind of like man bats. I mean, this would fit in most iterations of the
Yeah,
Batman mythos.
yeah,
I mean, I really do think though that my favorite detail are those posts coming out of his shoulders.
yeah. Hmm.
Because I mean, if you want to make up your own story about it, that almost makes him scarier. It's almost like, okay, this is either a scarecrow that came to life or a scarecrow that they tried to restrain and he
Hmm.
couldn't be held. So he broke free from a post, but still has parts of it like on his body. And that just adds to the creep factor. And that scythe is really cool. The colors are great. Even though they're more like earthen colors with the yellow orange and the brown, and even the kind of the off-white of his leggings, and the cloth on his arms. It still pops. It's still a very vibrant figure without looking garish or bombastic. And yeah, I mean, it just looks so cool. I mean, regardless, the arms are kind of long, which just adds to the creep factor. It looks amazing.
Yeah, he definitely is like longer and lankier, but that just makes him creepier. And one of his other features is nightmare glow eyes. So I wonder if it's one of those where there's like the little lens in the back of the head. So just as light comes through, it makes his eyes glow, which I
Yes.
love.
Yeah, so you can like shine a flashlight or hold it up to the sun or something. Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
what it is.
So yeah, I've always loved that feature anyway in other action figures that I've had over the years, and for this one, it's perfect too. So yeah, the glowing eyes, what a nice extra little bonus to what is already an awesome figure. And how much do I love scarecrows and the scarecrow? So for Halloween, I've talked about it before. We do a haunt in our yard.
Mm-hmm.
The theme of our haunt is a haunted pumpkin patch, and we have lots of scarecrows. To the point where like I dress up like a scarecrow to scare the kids, and the mask I have, like I want to just put on like a mannequin head in my Batman office because it looks like it could just be a scarecrow mask.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
so anyway, that's all neither here nor there, but it just speaks to my love of scarecrows and the scarecrow, and this is just a really badass version. And you know what? As I pulled him up to look for more pictures of him so I could see if his eyes were glowing.
Mm-hmm.
You can find him real cheap on eBay.
Oh, really?
FYI, like $20.
Wow.
So just FYI, like, I mean, I don't want to be the little devil on your shoulder, but he's a good one to have. And if you can own him for $20, I don't see a problem there.
That's true. That's
I
true.
might buy another one just to open so I can keep my original closed.
And add him to your haunt decorations too.
Yep. I'll just put him up on a hay bale and it'll be an Easter egg for anyone who knows. So there you go. Twister, Strike, Scarecrow, and bonus the fact that Twister's in the name.
Yes.
That was just a happy accident. So there you go. 12 figures from Legends of the Dark Knight, but our number ones are Man Bat and Scarecrow. And I think that's appropriate because they're both totally awesome.
Yes.
Very
I said,
cool.
lots of good choices that could be number one, but I do think those are the two best figures in the whole line. So I'm glad they got representation from us.
Agreed. And to your point at the very beginning, like the Batman and Robin and Batgirl are cool, but this line was all about the villains because every villain looked awesome.
Yes.
Some were more extreme than others, but they were all cool as hell. And so a lot of times, yeah, you get the 15 versions of Batman and you get two villains. This was one of the rare lines where it's like, oh no, we're doing as many villains as we can. And I think that's why I gravitated towards it in the 90s.
Makes sense. I don't know. Just filling up dead air there. Sorry.
All right, no problem. So all right, well there you go. Those are 12 awesome figures from Legends of the Dark Knight. Like I said, I'll post them to the Facebook page and then you can check them out, but they're super cool. And if I send you down an eBay rabbit hole, I'm sorry and you're welcome.
That's what we do these for, guys.
It is, you know,
we're secret
part
eBay,
of the fun. It's
secret
part of the
eBay shills. You know, we just need to drive up those numbers.
He also, you know, like if buying a $20 piece of plastic from 25 years ago brings you joy, then you should do it.
Yes.
Because we all deserve a little more joy in our lives.
Especially, never mind. We all know.
We all know. So very cool. Yeah, I love this line. I'm glad we talked about it. I knew you'd be down because I knew you would appreciate the cool weirdness of this line too.
If anything, I am into cool weirdness. That sounded wrong, but okay, whatever.
We're not here to judge. We're all friends here. So awesome. Well, Legends of the Dark Knight toys, very fun little flashback to 1996. But guess what? We watched an episode of The Batman.
We did.
So why don't we do that? Let's review the next episode of The Batman. I appreciate you keeping me honest, because you were the one who were like, hey, should we watch one? And I was like, I guess.
Well, I figured, I wasn't sure about the mailbox, and I figured there's no news right now. So it's like, I mean, we've gotten a good conversation out of everything. So, but to give a little more, pad the runtime a little bit, might as well.
I know, and again, we need to make progress. We can't forget. Otherwise, Richard Webster will remind me. He's the only one waiting for these. But no, it's good. It's good. And here's a fun story. So a couple hours ago, I knew this was coming. We were going to do this after dinner. And so Harley's watching Moana 2, which we're not big fans of, but she is. And, you do what your kid wants. And I'm like, honey, we're going to turn this off. I need you to watch Batman with Daddy. And she did not put up a fight. She's like, okay. So we watched this episode of The Batman. And she's like, no, Daddy, I want more Batman.
Oh.
And so we end up watching 3 episodes of The Batman tonight at her insistence.
Oh, well, good.
So I call that a big win. That's very cool.
I only watched 1, but we can talk about all 3 and I can just
no, because I'll be honest. I snoozed a little bit in episode 2 because I was very tired. So anyway, the episode we did watch, this is season 3, episode 7, The Laughing Cats.
Okay, I'm still watch the right one.
Yeah, I'm still watching on Netflix, but apparently it leaves Netflix in a few weeks, so be warned. And that means we got to go back to Max, and the Max is the one where the order is different. So we'll deal. Anyway, The Laughing Cats. This one aired on November 19th of 2005. It was written by Joseph Kerr and directed by Christopher Berkeley. And what we got here is a mysterious disappearance of a rare leopard, and Batgirl and Batman are on the case. Batgirl's like, well, it's a leopard. Obviously, it's Catwoman. And Batman's like, no. And I liked this line. He says, just because she's a cat burglar doesn't mean she's a cat thief.
Yeah, that made me chuckle.
But that was good. And she's like, I don't know. I feel like this is it. And there are 2 of them in Gotham. So they go to check out the other one, and Catwoman is there. And she's like, see, I told you so. And Batman's like, nope, that's not her MO. And we find out it was the Joker who took the leopard and ends up taking both of the leopards and kidnapping Catwoman.
I do. Sorry, but I do like a line that Catwoman had in there where Batgirl, I think, accosts her of, oh, she's stealing that one. She's like, well, yeah, but I didn't steal the other one. Or
right.
something like that. That was pretty funny too.
So Joker takes Catwoman and the leopards, and it turns out he is doing this and selling the leopards to like a billionaire big game hunter who wants rare animals so he can hunt them on his own property, where he has a really intensive labyrinth. So Batman, Batgirl track them down. They help Catwoman, and then it becomes Batman, Batgirl, Catwoman versus Joker and Punch and Judy. They end up in the labyrinth with booby traps and everything, and they get through. They defeat the Joker, and through the whole thing, Batgirl is like, at first she thinks Catwoman's guilty, and then she's like, you know what, Catwoman, maybe you're not so bad, because she sees Catwoman's passion for animals. And then she's like, you should be a hero. And Catwoman's like, you could be a villain. And just as she earns Batgirl's trust, then she turns on her, locks her in a cage, and she's like, yep, maybe another time. And so Batgirl learns the lesson of what Catwoman does is she gets you to lower your guard, and then she'll double cross you if she needs to. So it was a little, back and forth about Batgirl not trusting, then not trusting Catwoman. So that's The Laughing Cats. Jay, what did you think?
It was fine, I guess. It honestly, and I'm not being pithy here, it, The first act or so, the first 10 minutes really didn't hold my attention much. I did like that there was a little bit of a mystery that Batman and Batgirl were investigating. There were a couple of good lines, but my attention was kind of wandering for a little bit, especially when it came into the Joker and the big game hunter guy. I was just kind of, bored with that. When they got to the labyrinth, though, I started almost loving the episode
Interesting.
because you give me, I mean, I love death traps, just I love, Batman 66, all the death traps there. And then even in this was kind of derivative of that Riddler episode of the animated series with the Minotaurs, labyrinth or whatever that Batman and Robin
Mhm.
had to fight through. It was pretty much that with Batman, Batgirl, and Catwoman instead of just Batman and Robin. But it was still fun. Lots of fun little booby traps and everything in the labyrinth itself. And I did kind of like the button at the end where Batman told Batgirl that she makes a better Batgirl than a cat girl, or
Mhm.
something along those lines. But I mean, overall, it was just it was okay. I didn't necessarily hate any of it, but it didn't get my attention until too late in the episode, and even then, it wasn't much of that. But what was there that I really liked, I really liked.
Well, we had a very similar experience. For the first act, like you said, I was like, "Oh God, this is like such a basic episode," and it wasn't bad. It just was like, it wasn't doing anything for me because
Yeah.
it didn't have anything too interesting to do. Um, but I like when they mix up villains. So I like the idea of, Catwoman being wrongly suspected, and then that puts her in the path of the Joker, and then now it's Catwoman versus the Joker, and so now she has to sort of have a team up with Batman. So I appreciated that dynamic. I think that's fun when they start mixing up different characters. But as far as the actual story, it wasn't grabbing me. Um, and then the second half I thought was better because once they really leaned into the arc of Batgirl learning about Catwoman and starting to see her good points, I thought that was a really cool theme to explore in the episode. So I enjoyed
Mhm.
that. The big game hunter, like you said, didn't do much for me either. I think there is internal logic missing from the labyrinth because it's implied that the labyrinth exists so he can set these rare animals loose in it so he can hunt them. But then why are there booby traps in
Yeah.
them? Like, are the booby traps for the animals? Because that defeats the whole purpose of hunting them. So I don't know what the labyrinth is all about. I totally had flashbacks to the Minotaur. What was it, Maze of the Minotaur, whatever it was called,
Yeah, something like that.
from Batman the Animated Series too. So there was certainly fun in watching Batman, Batgirl, and Catwoman go through the labyrinth and you know, dealing with the booby traps and everything. Like there was fun in that. I just was like, this labyrinth doesn't make any sense. I don't like I can buy the cartoon logic that it exists in Gotham because there's an eccentric billionaire. I'll go with
Yeah.
that. But I just don't know what it's for. So yeah, it was in the end, I thought it was solid, decent, but not amazing because there were things I liked about it, but in the end I didn't love it. So yeah, I guess I am slightly positive on it.
Yeah, for some reason I had the idea that maybe Joker booby trapped the labyrinth, but maybe I just missed a line of dialogue, or maybe I'm just reading, like thinking too much into it. But yeah, if it's booby trapped by the billionaire, that makes negative sense.
Right. Well,
So
and even the three tubes that the Joker had Batman, Catwoman, and Batgirl enclosed in, um, I was like, what are those for, and why
yeah,
why do they exist?
yeah. Well, I mean, it
Along
was
with trapdoors to drop their utility belts.
yeah. I mean, it was more of a, this is dumb, but I'm having fun with it now, rather than just, okay, this is kind of rote and just kind of going through the motions. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it was okay. It just was kind of messy. I mean, there really wasn't a lot of cohesion other than the emotional through line of Batgirl and Catwoman's kind of side story.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I agree. There was a lot to like, and then a lot to not like. So it's a bit of a wash, but it was all right. Like I wouldn't, if I flipped it on Saturday morning, I wouldn't hate it. It just is not one that I would like seek out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the Laughing Cats. What would you give it for a letter grade?
I don't know. I was kind of leaning C minus, but then when you were talking about the Catwoman stuff, yeah, that made me appreciate it a little bit more, just in retrospect. So I'm just gonna go with a rounded C.
Oh, okay. Well, then I liked it a little more than you. I was gonna go like, C plus. Yeah, we'll go C plus.
All right.
So I was between C plus and B minus, but I'm like, I don't know. B minus maybe feels a little too generous, but it was decent. It's not bad.
Yeah.
So all right, that's the Laughing Cats. Next one up, whenever we get around to it, will be Fleurs de Mal.
Sounds
Fun. Yeah. Which again, I caught the last few seconds of because I was snoozing on the couch with Harley, but she watched and I snoozed.
What is that? The Bad Flowers? Is that what that means?
That sounds right. Yeah, I think so. Well, cool. That'll be next time. But another episode of the Batman done and check. But as we said, I don't have any emails this week because I just recorded the last episode like 2 days ago. So there hasn't been much time for anyone to write in. But if you want to write into the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can, because right now it's empty. So you'll get yours in there. You can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that will do it for this episode, Jay. Thanks for making the time. Thanks for talking toys, little bonus Superman talk, little bonus the Batman episode. But all in all, a well-rounded Holy BatCast.
Yes, it's fun. Always glad to come on, Andy.
Well, always glad to have you. And anywhere people can keep up with you these days.
I mean, if you already know, you're probably already following me. I mean, I hang around on Instagram. I have Blue Sky that I barely use. I'm on, Facebook and the Real Fans groups. I'm in a band and we've been playing around, so that's where I've been devoting a lot of time lately, is just playing music. But yeah, I mean, if you poke around, you can find me, here and there.
Awesome. Love it. Well, thank you, Jay, and thank you everybody out there for joining us. As always, we appreciate it. Thanks for streaming or downloading the show. Please do subscribe or follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. Something else you can do for us if you like the show, doesn't cost a penny, just rate and review us. A 5-star positive rating would make my day, and it really does help us out. That way the algorithm suggests us to other people, and we would love that. So please do that if you haven't already. Again, find the show and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. And if you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox for next time, you can send that to holybatcast at rf4rm.com. Our theme music was created by the talented Gore Venkateswar. You can find his work at gvtunes.com. And that will do it. On behalf of Jay, I've been Andy. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for. Oh, hi, honey. Okay, good night, honey. Give me a huggy.
Night, Harley.
I love you. Yeah, he's crying. Okay.
Take care of it. Yep.
She's very concerned about her baby brother because he's crying.
Aw.
She's very protective. It's very cute.
That's a good big sister.
Yeah, she is. So we're talking about the glowing eyes, right?
Yes,
I think.
eyes.